for the city, that's enforcement, that's registration, that's everything, then there would be a cost share revenue, obviously. And I'm sure they would want, that just like they get the money for the boot, they'd want the money for the citation, if you would. And there potentially is a mechanism where they can use the Indian Atlantic model where they issue a citation, and that's how it gets paid, by downloading that information to the DMV, so they making sure they're getting if there's a violation, they would get their money, if you would, for the violation. So there is that potential. That was, I didn't know that was an option until we actually did a little bit further research. But again, we're not saying that can't happen. We're saying that is a potential. And if that was something the council wanted us to look into more, obviously we can reach out to PCI and see what we could do. Another option would be, I know, talking to some of the council and just listening to some of the conversations, that a certain number of parking spots at the beaches be reserved for Indian Harbor Beach residents only. So using that, half the parking spaces would be open to or just available to Indian Harbor Beach residents, and that's it. They would get a sticker, they would register a sticker, there'd be a sign, and those spots would be dedicated to Indian Harbor Beach residents only. If you parked in there, we could use the Indian Atlantic model, kind of incorporate that and have a significant fine if somebody is parking in a citizen of Indian Harbor Beach parking space. They would have to register their vehicles, obviously, and would have to have a ticket so the officers could enforce it. And then the remaining parking spaces could be just free parking spaces, if you would. Instead of doing a paid program, half of them would be open, just available to citizens, and the other half would be just free parking, if you would. I don't know, because you start breaking that number down to half that. Now we're talking about 30 paid parking spots. I don't know if that would be worth going through all that for 30 paid parking spots, if we reserved half for just our citizens, if you would. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of different other options that are available, whatever you guys come up with that you guys want us to look into. Those are just some of the thoughts that we had. You guys got any questions, comments? Anything you want us to look into further?
I notice that, like Satellite Beach had a $250 per hour fee, and Indian Atlantic had a $350, and City of Melbourne Beach had a $250 fee.
Correct, yes.
So all three of them have fees for parking fees for that day.
That is correct, the three cities, yep. Now, Melbourne does not, and the county does not.
Do you have actual collected revenue information? So for instance, in the Atlantic and Melbourne Beach, it's showing the amount based upon the revenue generated less the expenses. And we talk about, for instance, in the Atlantic having $1,100 per space of positive revenue, and 182,000 for Melbourne Beach. But does that take in consideration non-payment? Because there's no way they're collecting 100% of the revenue. So I don't know if that's does Melbourne Beach uses the registration, the attachment to the registration?
That is what they had budgeted. So when we met with each of the cities, okay, they actually brought out their finance director, and they showed us what was budgeted and what they had brought in up to that point. I know Indian Atlantic does a little cost share because some of their beaches or some of their parks are partly with the county, so there is a little cost share associated with that. But I know he got more information on that.
Yeah, so because Satellite is using a newer program, for theirs we largely used their budgeted numbers and what they expected to see and what they were kind of seeing. As far as Melbourne Beach specifically, we used the fiscal year 22-23 numbers that they had gotten. So that number is directly from the amount of, that's the revenues that they made in fiscal year 22-23 from that program.
So they actually collected that amount?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm getting to. I just want to make sure that's being considered when we're talking about the financials for these options. Okay, and you said for Satellite Beach there, the vendor cost is 35% of the citations? Is that what it is?
Not of the citations, of the parking.
Oh, the parking, I'm sorry,
Yes.
the parking.
Yes. Yep, they have a cost share, but Satellite Beach is getting 65%. The vendor is getting 35% of the actual parking fees collected. The enforcement fees, the booting fees, the vendor is getting 100% of that.
So does the Indian Harbor Beach version, the hybrid version, does that take that into consideration?
So what we were thinking is, again, we'd have to negotiate and see what's available. But my thought was, if they ran the entire program, they would register all the vehicles, they would do everything, they would do all the enforcement. If they found a violation, they would actually write them a citation versus booting them. And they would have to pay the citation eventually. If they're going to renew their tag, they're eventually going to have to pay that money. So the company's eventually going to get their money. They might not get it that month, but eventually within the year, they're probably going to get their money because they're going to have to renew their tag at some point. Now, that wouldn't take into account if someone lived outside the city, if they had say a Georgia tag or something and was visiting and they didn't pay, then we would have no
But
mechanism
for
to
the
enforce
actual
that.
payment to the city for the normal, people who are actually paying, making their payment, there's a percentage, and presumably it'd be close to that 35% amount that they would get. I guess that's what I'm asking, is the potential revenue generation, that 37K, does that consider 35%? Is it 35% of that 37K that's going to go to that vendor, or has that already been considered?
All I did was use the Melbourne Beach model of $628 per parking spot,
Okay.
times that by number of potential parking spots that we would have. So I just kind of used that as the general, again, a very good estimate.
Okay.
That's all we did.
Yeah, I would just want to make sure they're not using a vendor. Is that correct?
They are not.
So
They use a kiosk system, and there's for the mobile app and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, there's a cost associated with that. But for enforcement and registration and all that stuff, they are not using a vendor.
okay.
But you said they were looking to go away from the kiosk system, right?
That's Indian Atlantic is, yes.
Okay.
But they would still have the mobile app. They still have to do the mobile app and all that good stuff. So there's still fees associated with that.
And Chief, each city negotiates with the vendor the percentage of collection rate as far
That is
as
true.
if you're going to tickets, obviously 100%, 80%, that would be negotiated with the city and the vendor, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
And again, if you guys have a different ideal or want us to do additional research, just let us know, and Ori will do it.
Did a good job.
Anybody else have any questions? Shauna?
I have heard that Satellite Beach is moving away from doing the booting. I believe that. Oh, okay.
No, not yet. And again, I don't even know if I want to say this, they're looking at a potential where they have, again, this is all potential. They got a lot of stuff this is just speaking to the new city manager. Potentially, there could be where there's a warning citation, if you would, first before a boot, something along those lines, where there's a citation issued first before they go right into booting. Again, that would be up to their council, that'd be up to their vendor, and they'd have to figure out how to work that out. But that is just something they were thinking as an alternative, or kind of soften it up a little bit.
All right. Anything else?
Well, I know it's like comparing apples to oranges in
Might
a
as well
lot
just
of
stay
ways.
there
Yeah.
for a little while.
Well, like for instance, Indy Atlantic, I know that they charge $40 per vehicle for an annual pass. So if you have 3 vehicles at your home, you would pay, $120. And that would affect their revenue stream would be from people all over the county who might be buying those passes. I know people from Grant Valcaria who have passes in Indy Atlantic. So, and they have many more parking spots to consider. So I'm kind of wondering, when we're comparing these figures, I count that we only have 59 revenue spots
Potential, yes.
if you don't count the handicap spots. And I just, I know that during the high season, which is winter time, when people come, that they would fill the beach parks. But like today at 2:30, I went down to both beach parks, and including my car, there were 3 at Millennium, and there were 16 at Bicentennial this afternoon. And it was the day after a major holiday weekend. I was surprised that there were so many unused spots. So they would not be bringing in any revenue at that time. I also think that another concern, and this maybe for the city manager, I just wanted to double check, not to. I was looking back on our March workshop minutes, and it said that if we were interested in proceeding with exploring implementation, that staff would recommend the city pay for ownership and encumbrance reports of each property to ensure that there are no unknown deed restrictions that could prohibit said implementation. Because we don't want to get into the situation that we did with, that Satellite did, and thought they could charge for Hightower and Pelican, and that was in their model, and then they found out they couldn't. So I just wanted to make sure that truly, in fact, that we can charge for beach parking, that it doesn't have any violation with the FERDAP grants that we got, because I know the purpose is that the parks are to be free and open to the public, and I understand that parking can be, you could still go free and open to the park and pay to park, but I just wanted to double check that we don't get into any trouble in that regard with the legality of it.
Yes, Mr. Bone did some preliminary research, and he did not believe that there was any issue. He did not do that full research because of the cost. He didn't believe it was needed. If council wants, we can do that. We did go back and check the FERDAP grants, and the FERDAP grants require the public access. Paid parking is allowed. It just, you have to have public access. We can't close both beach parks to non-residents.
In Melbourne Beach, just to answer your question, Melbourne Beach, if the residents, if they have 3 cars, they show up with 3 registrations, with 3 addresses, the 3 cars are registered, they get three tickets for free, 3 stickers for free. That's how Melbourne Beach does it. So it's per registration, if you order, per registered vehicle.
Mm-hmm. I noticed information on the Satellite Beach website that they can deny a parking sticker if they are concerned about too many passes at one location. I mean, that would be a reason for denial. It's on their website. It lists like, well, why might you be denied? And obviously, if you're not a resident, but it was on there that if there's too many. So.
I don't know about that.
From there.
All right.
Councilmember Dyer.
I'll save my comments till after. We'll let the residents speak, but I just had a couple questions. Did you say 2:30 today during normal working hours you went?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. And and we would negotiate each of those terms with the vendor prior to proceeding as far as restrictions of passes and all that stuff. So, I mean, I feel like that could be worked out, but I just had a couple questions on your previous comments, and I'll save mine till after the residents speak.
Okay. All right, fair enough. All right, so next is public comments. And the first thing I want to say, though, is that keep in mind this is a workshop. We're not deciding anything tonight. We're simply going to have discussion. We're going to take your input. And then at some point in the future, we will have, theoretically, we're going to have an agenda item on one of our council meetings, and that is where we would actually make appropriate decisions related to this issue. And keep in mind the other option, I know we've the chief is, and Ori presented two options. The third option is do nothing. So there is always that. But their two options relate to if we implemented paid parking ultimately. So with that, I'll start the public comments segment, and each person who comes up to speak must have filled out a speaker sheet. And when I call your name, please come up, state your name and address, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Right. You're last. All right. So the first person is Meredith Sanford.
My name is Meredith Sanford. I live at 224 Bella Coola Drive. Locally, I go to the beach 3 times per day, 2 of which by bicycle and 1 by car. Beach parking for us is a luxury. It's not a mandate. We have limited access from our tiny beach town, and balancing out the flow of Brevard County by adding paid parking shows that we care about consistency across our whole county. We can use the local funds to continue the upkeep of minimal parking locations. We have zero need for locals-only spots or higher charging meters. What would that even look like in our town, our county, to the tourists around us? What would it do to our small town even in the next 5 years? We should look forward to growth here and not dread it. Our choice should be improvement, not restriction. Locations to park at the beachside could be similar to neighboring towns by adding our own paid parking. Charging a higher cost of the pavilion rental for non-residents might also assist in slimming down overwhelming capacities at our little accesses. And we have a small town, so not everybody are actual beachgoers. Those interested should be able to include multiple vehicles on a free resident parking permit with no additional cost. Some families that I know of have 4 drivers in one home. They should be able to use whichever car they choose for the day of use. Not all vehicles are used on the same day for every home. Other families, however, use multiple cars for short bursts of time, which is wonderful and should be supported, not penalized. I'd value being able to switch cars as preferred and needed in my home. We surf with several beach checks per day. We already beach fish in season, like you just commented about. We have regulated species season that we can fish for, so we're doing that as much as we can in certain times where it is regulated, which is also varying the times that we can go to the beach for some things. And those of us that do use the beach, we use it for our health as well. Our town is certainly able to accommodate these requests. I do have a couple questions though. How many parking spots are there locally at Gleason Park and the other Indian Harbor Beach parks? I would love to know if potentially that should be included in this concept of paid permit parking. Would that actually help Indian Harbor Beach? Would that hurt or help? Also, the Algonquin Sports Complex, that brings in a lot of people from other towns. People are playing sports at our small little town, driving through our neighborhoods. Would that be something in our local parking options? Is that something that we need to consider in paid parking, if that's an option? And I think that was all my questions. Thanks.
Perfect timing. Man. Okay. All right. Next is Susan Romey.
Thank you guys for having the workshop and letting us all have our opinions. A lot of my neighbors and friends
One
couldn't.
second. I need your name.
Susan
and
Romey
address.
from 911
Sorry.
Golden Beach Boulevard.
There
Okay. A lot of my neighbors and friends couldn't come tonight, so I do feel confident that I'm speaking for those people. They all want something done at the beach regarding the parking passes. At this point, I don't even go on weekends. It's not just because of the parking, it's just because there's no more neighbors there, there's no more friends. It's everyone who doesn't want to pay at Satellite Beach is now coming down to Indian Harbor. So while I understand that at 2:30 on a Tuesday, there's not people there, at noon on a Saturday, it's packed. You can't go. It's not your neighbors and it's not your friends. It's not the community beach that we all love. I'm not naive enough to think that there is going to be a parking spot whenever I want to go up to the beach, but I do think this would be, excuse me, a really good deterrent to perhaps just level the playing field and bring it back to the way it was when people could just go to Satellite or Indian Harbor based on where they wanted to go, as opposed to not paying for parking. I did look through, research just a little bit and saw that so many towns and cities are doing this. I mean, not to bore you, but from Satellite Beach, Cocoa Beach, India Atlantic Beach, Melbourne Beach, Deerfield Beach, Pompano Beach, Lauderdale by the Sea, Sebastian Inlet, Clearwater, St. Pete Beach, Crystal River, Hollywood, Hellendale, Fort DeSoto, Sand Key, Fred, Howard Park Beach, Delray, Henderson Beach, Palm Beach, Gulf Breeze, Gulf Shores, Boca Raton, Jacksonville Beach, Dania Beach, Ormond Beach. Volusia County is now going to passes and paid parking, and Vero Beach and Fort Pierce are also working on parking plans. So I just feel we do see which direction things are blowing. Let's not get lost like we did on some other things and do what everyone else is doing. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Next is Alex Kapowitz. Sorry about your name. I really try hard to get your name.
Alex Kaplitz, 211 Micanopy Court. Thank you to you all for continuing to work through this issue and for the IHBPD for their research. In response to Shauna's comment on the parking spots being available at 2:30 today, I just want to point out that today would be considered an off-peak day. Local families have their kids back in school. Most residents are back to work, especially at 2:30. So I would say your experience today is not a normal time when a normal working family would be able to go. So I don't think it's relevant. And yesterday was absolutely a peak day. I don't know if anyone drove by and tried to park. It was unavailable at Bice. I did not check Millennium, but I can assume the same. So in my mind, sunny days on weekends are also considered peak, and that's when our neighbors used to go, and we used to be able to see, the people we live with in this community. So in my mind, that's what we should be discussing, the times when most working families with children can actually enjoy the beaches they're paying for. In response to the research that was completed, I just have one comment. We have less parking spaces than our neighbors, also less per capita. So we should be charging more for parking than our neighbors because of the scarcity, and I think that would help with revenue generation and also just supply and demand, really. I like that we're learning from our neighbors and moving in the right direction here. We had a very large turnout at the last meeting of residents in favor of beach parking for taxpayers. I guess the meeting before that, there were a lot of non-residents talking about the issue. I'm not sure why. But I urge council members to take action today and move forward to implement a beach parking program for residents. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next is Nick Kapowitz.
Hello, Nick Kaplevich. Alex says
Wait
it a little
second.
different.
He
20
said
Navajo
it
Circle.
differently than you did.
The Polish pronunciation is Kaplevich, so
Okay.
Kaplevich, but he can continue to speak his last name
Now I'm
wrong.
completely
That's on him.
confused.
I'll try to keep this brief. I think this is absolutely an issue. I appreciate that the council is taking this seriously to get something implemented as soon as possible, because I think as residents, it's very frustrating to have to come to multiple of these meetings to try to get something on the agenda and actually passed. It is such a marginal cost to implement this. I don't know why we have to waste anyone else's time, the chiefs included. I wasn't sure this gentleman, what his name was, because he didn't say what his name was, but I'm assuming,
Oh.
do you work for the vendor?
No, I work for the city.
Okay, so a city employee that I'm not familiar with. But we don't have to waste anyone else's time. This is $30-something thousand. I know that in a month, we approved $30,000 for the fire chief's retirement to add him to the pension. So I think it's a marginal cost, and this is affecting one person versus, the entire community. So I think it's not too much to ask as a resident for the council to just take immediate action and pass paid parking. I think it should be $5. Maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but however it's got to be enforced, to me, that's not the point. I mean, the point is that we get together as a community and can enjoy our beaches together and not just see transients every time we drive by the beach. I am also, I do a lot of surfing, so I go up and down the beach to try to find the best waves, obviously. Cocoa Beach is $5, so you know, to park. I paid there several times to park, easily spend $10 on a random afternoon, you know, when I'm the only vehicle in the parking lot. I do also have a paid pass to Melbourne Beach. I paid the $100 to park down in Melbourne Beach. You know, they're their beaches, they're their access. I'll respect their rules. I'll pay their parking fees. I don't think it's unreasonable to ask non-residents to pay ours. I think they should be a premium though, because we have very limited space. So $5 an hour isn't all that unreasonable. Again, it's not going to be a revenue generator. I think a lot of these things are structured for the benefit of the vendor, which I don't really have a strong opinion about. I don't want the chief to have to do a lot more work, so whatever's easy to implement it, that we can get it in as soon as possible, you know, I would really appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next is Andrew Bargo.
Andrew Bargo, 209 Bella Coola Drive, tongue twister there. Thank you for doing this again also, just like everyone said. I don't want to say anything, I don't need to say the same thing that everyone else did, but I just want to add a couple points here. You mentioned about today, and I respect that you went and checked it out. It is an off day, we all know that. I've been there many times on weekends and holidays since we first did this, okay? And I've got a lot of photos on the weekends, and it's packed. I can't go there with my kids. I usually like to go small in the summer. I usually like to go to the beach and go longboard. I pay $75 for parking at their small beaches in Satellite. I have to go there now pretty much on weekends. So I hop up behind Papagallos. I got to take my kids there. Because I can't find a space here at 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10:30 when my kids get up, everything. But I just wanted to add a couple more points too. Besides that, yeah, even if we made $25,000 a year on this at our parks here, I mean, what, every 7 years or something we might have to redo it because of a storm? That's almost $200,000. That pays for the boardwalk being redone. We don't have to, the residents here don't have to pay for it, a lot of it then, because then everyone else is pitching in, including the people that don't live here. They help pitch in, and I think that's a great thing. We pay our taxes, we pay higher taxes here. I don't want to pay higher taxes so someone from West Melbourne that pays lower taxes gets to enjoy what I pay for. I don't think that's right. I would like everyone to have a free parking, you know, at every beach. It would be nice. But, yeah, so if it's $25,000 a year, let's say, that's great. And again, reiterate, I don't want our officers to do more work. You know, I've had medical conditions, and they were there for me every time. And it's going to happen to everyone else. They're first responders. They've got other things to do. So however that could be done. And I think that's about it right now. So thank you for giving me the time.
Thank you. Next is Arthur Paolella. I hope I got that. I did it good.
Considering you can read my handwriting.
It's good. It's challenging, but.
My name is Arthur Paolella. I live at 120 Martesia Way. I've been a resident for 10 years. I'd like to change a little the timeline of these discussions. I actually wrote an email to Mark Ryan, who was our prior manager, on January 12th, 2020, telling him about the parking issues. 4 years ago. I'm not going to read the whole email, but basically I said the reason why I'm writing this is over the years it's become more difficult for my family to find parking, particularly on Sunday mornings as early as 9 o'clock. He did respond. He responded. He said he was going to ask Chief Butler to investigate reports of what Indy Atlantic is doing. And he also said during our FY21 planning meeting later this spring, he would discuss this with the mayor and city council. So I don't know if that took place, but just want to reiterate that, this isn't really that new. It's been going on for quite a while. So I'm glad that we're actually looking at it. I appreciate the council and the chief, their time and effort, and I hope we can find a solution.
Thank you. All right, next is Shannon Coleman.
Shannon Coleman, 511 Escambia Street, proud wife of a volunteer firefighter. I wanted to bring up a couple of things about the PCI that Satellite Beach has. I just want to verify by the chief to make sure that it's on the transcript, that PCI is only giving they're only giving citations, they're not giving tickets, correct? PCI. PCI through Satellite Beach. They are only allowed to, they're doing the booting, but. But you were talking about them ticketing, but they legally cannot ticket. They can do citations on the behalf of the city. They can't ticket. They're not doing that right this second. Okay. I just wanted to make sure it was said correctly. Okay, yeah. It's no ticket. It is it's a citation that goes towards their. Okay. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that that was stated correctly. Being a wife of a firefighter, we have our monthly, the fire department has their monthly, or twice a month, their fishing things that they go out and they fish at the beach. It has gotten to the point where they basically are driving all the way up to the Patrick Air Force Base beaches and having their events there versus Satellite or Indian Harbor, just because we don't have we can't use our own beach that we're at. So if these guys are on call 24/7, which they are, there's been a few times where they've had to leave hangars in order to get back here for a fire call. I think that definitely the resident should be able to get them for the passes for themselves, but there also needs to be ones that are for our first responders that are here that don't necessarily live within our city limits that will get that pass as well, because it's not fair to them if they're on call here and they don't live physically in Indian Harbor Beach. It's just I'm just telling you that, from my heart, I would hope that you guys would take that into account. The idea of, a lot of people will call my husband or text us in Rock Property, which is right across the street from Millennium. We get calls every weekend. People are saying that people are parking there. They're legally not allowed to. Then my husband calls the owner of Rock, which that is a responsibility that my husband has taken
Okay.
on.
I'm sorry, your time's up.
Okay.
I have to be strict, sorry.
Well, okay.
Okay. That's it for the public speakers. So we can bring it back to council for further discussion. Councilman Dyer said he would wait until the public comment was over. You want to go last? All right. So Frank, thoughts?
It's been 4 years, huh? When it was first brought up, I guess we weren't ready to deal. And it makes a tough subject because of the limited amount of parking spots. I really think that does. But my word, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Way past due. And if we can think of a way to go ahead and make it so our police force is not involved in it, like people say, they got enough to go ahead and be involved in, and that we turn a profit, not that we're in it for a profit, but that we turn a profit And I see where we could work it out. The person that mentioned that it was a premier spaces, they are premier spaces. They're like going to a football game and you're in box seats. You're paying maybe $500, $1,000 for it, and not $50 or something like that. Because there's a limited amount of spaces, and we need to treat it like that. And we need to give our residents an opportunity to go ahead and use it. You know, there's no doubt about that. So I'm going to go ahead and say I'm all for it. We got to work out the little fine details. We need to have a charge, that type of thing. And I'm up in the air about amount of cars. I don't know. I'm up in the air about that personally right now. Not that it's just I haven't thought about it. Like some people have. I only have a 2-car family and only one goes to the beach, so I don't have a problem there.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, thanks, Frank. Shauna?
Okay, I have a lot of random thoughts that I'm just going to put out there. I'm still not sure that this is going to solve the problem of the fact that we only have 59 parking spaces between both parks. If I thought it would guarantee our residents a weekend parking spot, I'd say go for it. But that is when everybody comes from over the bridge, people from Melbourne, Palm Bay, Orlando. I believe that the beach belongs to everybody. When we do have a hurricane, we have state and federal dollars that come and help us build the boardwalks and beach accesses back. We also depend on tourist development taxes. They actually pay for the beach renourishment. It's not Indian Harbor Beach taxpayers that are paying for this beach renourishment. It's state and federal and tourist development taxes. I just remember when I was, and of course I raised my kids here in Indian Harbor Beach since 1977. I feel really deeply in my heart that the beach should be accessible to everyone. I remember when I was a new Air Force wife with babies, couldn't afford anything, but the beach was free, and I took those kids to the beach. But again, I do want to state that if I really felt that it would solve the problem, because nobody had a problem with finding a parking space today, I realize that. It's a weekday, just the retirees were out. But I honestly, with all my heart and soul, do not feel that it is going to solve the problem of a packed beach on a beautiful beach day weekend when, like I said, Channel 6 News announces, everybody go to the beach, it's a beautiful day. And for sure, because there are so few revenue-producing spots that are, for the most part, not filled and not bringing in revenue most of the time, that I think it's actually going to be a cost to the taxpayers. And in these times when money is so tight and we have to manage every dollar wisely, I really don't think this is going to be any kind of certainly not a cash cow, and probably an expense to the taxpayers. So, I wish I could wave a magic wand and turn it back to 1970s when everybody could go to the beach, but times are changing, and I believe they should be first come, first serve. That's just my opinion.
Okay, thank you. I'll go ahead and throw in my thoughts now. So I don't object to paid parking. But it is very important to me that when this does become a council agenda item, that we need some more information on this, specific to the vendor. I think we need some real numbers before we can say yes to it. And I do think that's going to take discussion with the vendor. I think we got to start with some real numbers, and we need to be a little conservative. You have to assume that the beach isn't going to be full 100% of the time. I understand that the numbers that you all gleaned and put into your presentation were actual numbers from, say, Melbourne Beach. That's what they actually collected. So I don't expect the collection amounts to be that much different than, say, Melbourne Beach, because they don't have people filling up their beaches 100% either. But I just want to make sure we are accounting for a reasonable assumption for expenses associated with this. To Shauna's point, I mean, doing this isn't going to guarantee you a space. That's all there is to it. I think what will end up happening will be kind of similar to what's happened at Satellite Beach, where when theirs was implemented, the beaches were fairly empty for a while, but then after a period of time, you notice that there's a lot more people attending Satellite Beach's parks. I think the same thing will happen with us. And ultimately, we'll probably end up fighting the same battles we do now, which is trying to find a space on a nice sunny afternoon when there's surf and everybody's going to the beach on a weekend. We know that combination doesn't happen all the time, that's for sure, but certainly sunny days and crowded beach weekends are there. So there'll be some benefit, but I think largely the biggest benefit by doing this is going to be some form of revenue generator to help offset the cost to maintain the beaches. And that's the one thing that's keeping me in favor of paid parking at this time. I do think it is very important, John, I do think it's very important that we verify as part of this, we verify that there are in fact no issues with the conveyance of the two properties in question, Bice and Millennium Park, that there's no restrictions. I know you mentioned the FERDAP grants don't appear to have language in there that would prohibit paid parking, paid beach parking. I do think it might be an issue with the option 2, which was the reserved parking for any Harbor Beach residents. Personally, I'm not in favor of that one. It was kind of a nice thought, but I don't know that that's a workable thought. So again, I would be in favor of it in general, but I need more in the way of numbers and detailed numbers to be able to make that decision ultimately. So those are my thoughts. Councilmember Dyer.
I'd just like to thank everyone for coming out and working with the city through this. And together, we got to figure out a solution because obviously it is an issue. It's a growing issue. We're the only city in the county that doesn't charge for parking, and obviously the surrounding cities did it, and then it just spilled over to our beach. I agree with the fact that since there are limited number of seats or parking spots, there should be an increased price, for supply and demand. I don't see an issue with the $5 like was mentioned earlier per spot. And I think that we as a council have to identify these issues that affect the city, and we have to make a decision based off of what's best for our residents, because this isn't about one council member, even though I've taken a lot of heat from this, but it's because when I campaigned for this seat, I talked to thousands of residents, and some of them are here tonight talking about these issues that's affecting them. And that's why I keep pushing the issue, because I'm doing my job for the residents. And there is no guarantee, well, there is a guarantee that, unfortunately, I wish we weren't here, but we have to address this issue. And the guarantee is nothing is like it is in the 80s anymore. So we can't fear change. We have to change with the times. And when our residents are paying taxes that go into maintaining our beaches and they're not able to utilize those resources, and on top of that, because they can't park there, they're getting tickets for parking illegally, that's an issue that we need to address. And I feel like the program works in Satellite. It's generated more opportunity for their residents to park at their beaches and utilize the service that they're paying for. So the purpose of tonight is to not figure out all the details, because obviously we do have to look into that, and I'm sure the other cities have looked into that as well, and that's why every other city in the county has gone to it. But just the direction. So we need to start moving forward to protect the residents. So I think that we should just all agree upon moving forward tonight to address this issue.
Okay, thank you. Again, we're not here to vote tonight on anything per se. John, can this be brought forward as an agenda item?
Yes, a couple of points of clarification, so we don't have to redo things and once we get this to the council meeting level. Is it the council's consensus to pursue the satellite beach model minus the booting? And second of all, we will check with the county, but when this first came up, I spoke with the county attorney, and he said that there's part of the way the county gets state funding is a formula based on the number of public parking spots in Brevard County. And he said that there is a threshold where there's a price differentiation that those spots no longer get counted. So we will seek clarification from Mr. Morris what that threshold is. Because if we go too high, we're basically hurting the county's ability to get maximum renourishment money for future beach renourishments. But if the council could give us direction on which model to dig into, that would help.
Can I add something? Sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
And I just wanted to say on record, I've said it multiple times before, I would like to say it again tonight, I am not a fan of booting. I do not support booting. I do like the ticket model, the hybrid model one, where it uses the vendor and it doesn't increase the workload on our public service. And the process goes through the DMV, so it doesn't tie up any other city workers' times. So that would be my recommendation, was option one.
So option one.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to go ahead and
And this is, I'm sorry, this is, again, we're not making a decision tonight. It's just, of the two options, I think that's what John's looking for direction on. Yeah. Go ahead.
And I would support option one also.
As would I.
And I just want to make sure I'm clear on what option one is exactly, what exactly it is. Just make sure. We're talking about the registration and enforcement by PCI Municipal Management. And and I see the note that they're working with the vendors to implement the ticketing. And I agree with Councilmember Dyer on no booting under any circumstances. That's not what Indian Harbor Beach is about. And I see also that Satellite Beach does have free for residents. I just want to reiterate that Indy Atlantic does charge $40 for each vehicle for their residents. Cocoa Beach charges $20 per vehicle. That would be something that when we're talking the dollars and cents, when we get the actual figures, to see if, because I know everybody here wants a free parking pass. And I know Monopoly has free parking, but I'm not certain that it can be free. So that's something to consider too. I just want to add that.
Understand, and I think, yes, to me, that's, needs to be part of the equation. I don't know, everybody can chime in on this, but I think that free resident parking has got to be part of the equation. And then what needs to be discussed would be, if we're going to implement paid parking, how many passes would be granted to each resident?
Yeah, I would only support free parking for residents.
Deliberation.
You're in deliberation. Okay. How long do you need?
Next meeting.
So this is just for general
We
direction.
talk about free parking. I think everybody needs to pay. I just think that our value of parking spots is immense. And I hate to say it, but whatever fee we come up with, everybody needs to contribute. Of course, to a lesser degree as a resident.
And here's my, I guess my counter to that is that, and something to consider is that we're already paying. We're all taxpayers in the city, and so right now, we're already funding the maintenance of those beach parks ourselves, and we're shouldering the maintenance for everybody that comes to those beach parks. So that is the main reason why, I mean, I think it's the right thing to do is to do the free resident parking.
Are we talking about the hour fee? Is that what we're talking about, per hour fee?
I'm talking about in general, there would be a parking pass, in theory, there'd be a parking pass to be granted to all
Okay.
residents.
I'll buy that.
Okay.
I'm with you on that.
Okay. John, is that clear enough? All right.
Because I was talking about, the parking itself, there'd have to be a charge for it.
So where we are right now is this will be placed on a future city council meeting agenda. I don't know exactly when that would be just yet, because there's probably some more number crunching and they have to have discussions with PCI, presumably. And that may take some time to schedule that meeting and kind of go through some good number crunching. So I want to get it on an agenda as soon as we possibly can. I do want to move this forward and get to a point where we make it an official decision on this. So question is, how quickly can that happen?
We'll make it as quick as possible.
That's as vague of an answer as I can
Well,
give.
we got 4 years, right? What's another 6 months?
We'll get something to the table and make a decision as soon as we possibly can, seriously. I don't want this to linger much longer. So with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Gerton, second by Councilmember Dyer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. We are adjourned.
Good job, Mayor.
Thank you, sir.